Good evening to you, Maristanda. Good evening to your listeners as well.
Good evening to you. So it started with the Deputy Minister for Energy and Board Chair of the ECG, Herbert Crapper, saying that the problem was going to be solved soon. And then the Vice President, when he went to the Eastern region to begin his nationwide campaign, announced that dumsor would be over in a bit. Now the President boldly states that the problem has been dealt with. The issue of transformers have been dealt with. The issue of gas supply have been dealt with, which means for the first time we are knowing the real reason for the power outages that we've been witnessing. And he says that the power has been stable, and indeed yesterday no report has been made of a load shedding. I don't know if you have personally experienced stability in your power, but again, the statement that the President made, what do you make of it?
Omar, the first thing that we pick from the President's pronouncement is that today he's admitting that under his tenure there has been dumsor. And so he made it clear in his statement that the load shedding that we're seeing is probably no more. He didn't say receding, but it's no more. It's an admission of the fact that there's been dumsor under his tenure. That is one. Number two, to say that the issues have been dealt with as misleading. And we pray that the handlers of the President will rather lead him than mislead him. Sometimes the President looks awful in the eyes of industry players, the watchers, and even consumers. I'm sure any pronouncement that he makes is contingent on what they tell him. But he must be very careful. That's to Mr. President, because the handlers are not putting out what the issues are in reality. Maristanda, the value is the same. We've just seen a bit of change last night. But if the President says that yesterday we didn't experience dumsor anywhere around the country, that's untrue. I can recount some few places we've checked. In Accra, Coastal Estate Sprinters, 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. in the night yesterday. Nungwabuadi, Lashibi, Tamakomti 2, 3, and part of Committee 5. When you go to Mankasim, we recorded some outages. In Ekunfi, Nakwa, the biggest community in Ekunfi, the most populated town in Ekunfi, experienced dumsor the whole of yesterday till the night. In Tama, again, Committee 25, Michelle Camp and Bitchley, when you go to Weja around the Western Mall, they all had outages. Even today, we still can mention Oyarifa Airport Residential, Weja, Pantan, and a few other places. It means that we still have some deficits in the system. And so that's for the record. Number two, some of the power plants, key power plants that have been down over the last 3 months are still down. We can still mention Senate, Siemens, Bridge Power. All of them are producing 0 megawatts. Just since from the beginning of the year, as we speak today. The only power that has come on stream is the Awaso thermal plant. It did generate about 95 megawatts in the morning, in the afternoon, around 84 megawatts. In the evening, the peak hour did about 93 megawatts. If you look at some key power plants like Asogli, in the morning was doing about 335. A plant that can do something close to 550 megawatts. In the afternoon, still doing about 335. In the evening, Asogli was doing just closer to 400 megawatts. When we touch on car power was doing about 162 megawatts in the morning. In the afternoon, about 52 megawatts. In the evening, it's ramped up to about 339 megawatts. Maristanda, let's look at the morning total production, the afternoon and the evening. In the morning, it was doing about 2,505 megawatts. That's the entire power system. In the afternoon, it then went up to about 2,651 megawatts. In the evening, performance improved. to 3,521 megawatts. Amaru, note something here. Our system peak demand hovers between 3,700 and 3,750 megawatts. And so if at peak hour you were doing 3,521 megawatts, then it means that there's still a deficit. When there's a deficit, load must be shared. We are still exporting cheap power. VRA is exporting cheap power to our neighbors. Power that we can use at that rate to, probably produce goods and service the benefit of the country. That cheap power is being exported whilst we consume the most expensive part of the power. Yesterday in the morning, export was around 108 megawatts. In the afternoon, it went up to about 127 megawatts. In the evening, it went up to 145 megawatts, exporting to La Côte d'Ivoire, exporting to Togo, Benin, and to Burkina Faso. And so, Marisanda, we still have deficit in the morning yesterday. We had deficit in the morning, in the afternoon yesterday, and in the evening we have deficit. And anytime there's a deficit, load must be shared. And so, the president cannot claim that there was no load shedding yesterday. Even today, we are shedding load because we are still underproducing.
The president said the gas situation, in fact, so he mentions or he attributes the load shedding we've been seeing to two things. The issues of transformers, he said that has been dealt with. Now, PURC has already told us that has never been an issue, really. Now, the issue of gas, okay, not that it has not been an issue, but PURC has said it is not as extensive as ECG has claimed. Now, the second issue being gas, which is what you can call financial problems, the president says that has been dealt with. Could it be that the president spoke a little too early, but the gas supply has been secured, and for that matter, the stability is assured, and that could be why he made the statement he made today?
Omar, so that we can admit that the gas supply has improved, but not to the extent where all the power plants can adequately receive fuel and ramp up to their maximized level. That's the situation that we have. For the transformer issues, please let's discount it. It is not an issue at all. It was something that is more like a small screen. We should not even bring it to the discussion at all. That's why we believe that some elements, some utilities are churning out the wrong information to our president. And that's very, very unfortunate. And we'll keep on asking for the head of the minister in charge of the sector, because under his tenure, the president make one pronouncement and thus, come out as untruth. Who gives him this information? Who is the supervisor of the sector here? Is the Minister for Power and Energy. We ask that the rightful information must be shared with the president, and we must be transparent with our communication as well to consumers and industry watchers.
Interesting, but what would be the point? Because saying that the power is out or the power situation has been fixed is something that everybody can attest to. Why would the president make a public statement like that? And again, I'm trying to repeat to you, I insist that maybe his foot is on something when he threatened to say that the power is stable. Clearly, maybe there's something the president knows that we don't know. You may be privy to some of the statistics and maybe some of the deals that are done in the back. You've mentioned to us all the plants that are not currently on stream, and you've also listed a number of areas that were without power yesterday. Could it be that would be the last time? Well, the president suggests that the days are over and dumsor will not be back. Maybe there's some information, there's something that's happening positively somewhere that gives him the assurance that made him make the statement he made, because his vice made it yesterday and his deputy minister also made a similar thing last week or so. Clearly there's something that they are holding on to, don't you think?
Yes, probably there's something they are banking their hope on, but the president's statement is premature because when we watch our own system condition sheet, it gives us a different, impression of at variance of the president's statement. And so maybe the president must wait probably the next 2 days and a week to probably give the full picture truthfully to Ghanaians. But as we speak, we still have deficits in the system, and so load must be shared. If you don't share this load, Omar Sanda, you're putting the entire grid at risk. There could be the possibility of not just brownout, but a total blackout of the system or a system collapse. And so for that reason, UCG will set off some load and seek to cover the issues using transformers as an excuse. But it's too early for the president to make that pronouncement. We must wait a little bit. We can also understand at the start of the movement is responding to the CEC, and so you need to give them that confidence that we don't have any other issues at stake as we speak. But Omar Sanda, we still have deficits in the system. The president must wait a little bit, and when full, the valve is open full throttle for gas to flow, then we can pat ourselves in the back that after 4 months of uncomfortable situation, even in the absence of dumsor, we've come out of the woods, but we still are in the woods, and we must wait a little bit.
There have been demands for the ECG to publish the timetable. Consistently, the ECG has refused to do that, to the extent that Gridco had to report the ECG to the minister to say, we've asked ECG countless times to shed load. ECG has refused to do that. We've had to do an overriding and shut down the systems ourselves. Now that the president himself has announced that there's no load shedding or the load shedding is over, ECG would still have to insist that there's no load shedding or there's no need for a load shedding timetable, which means ECG will not do what is supposed to be done when there's a need to shed the load. Gridco, which has been overriding all this while to shut the system down to prevent a total collapse, do you reckon, because Gridco is again a state agency, Gridco may be then forced to stand by the president, and even though the supply is not enough, still let it go through, the demand being higher, a system shutdown could possibly happen, a total collapse could possibly happen, or you are sure or certain that Gridco will do the needful to save the national assets if it comes to it?
With over heart for Gridco, they have been protective of the system, but for Gridco, will have had numerous system collapses or blackouts or brownouts across the country. We believe strongly that the system transmitter will still protect the grid and will not see to any political, inclination or political, push. We trust in Gridco and we do our hearts for Gridco. They've done extremely well, even when ECG is trying to compromise the system and back the political actors. I told you, Omar Sanda, some months ago that ECG will not put out any timetable because they've had that backing from the minister that there won't be any timetable. And if you, Omar Sanda, or Nana Addo or PRC or any other person needs a timetable, go produce your own, put it on your wall and read it. And so for ECG, we knew from the very beginning that they will not do the needful. But thanks to Gridco, they've been watchers of the industry and they have been protective of the system. We strongly believe that they will still keep on protecting the grid. They will not see to any political, overtures.
Very well. Thank you so much. Let's hope that things get better, as the president said. Thank you for speaking to us, Nana.
Thanks for having me.